The Source album could reek of didactic rock opera plus high school English class formula, a libretto for the rebellious, inspired by Tommy, too much of a come on guys, let's all enjoy the show affair, although for the sake of balance and fairness, I'll openly suspect, perhaps wishfully, that Roger Waters mightn't disagree. But would an Animals tour, or a Final Cut, or a Muse to Death tour, worldwide concert experience fund as many activist projects as a The Wall tour? No, likely not. So the Wall's preeminence and continued insistence in the cultural landscape is due to its semi-frequent presence in our world's major cities. I suppose the claim that the Wall boasted the most immediately accessible music of Pink Floyd's discography holds weight too. I first heard their music via a classic rock radio station, a primary school boy enchanted, riveted by Another Brick in the Wall Part 2, too cliche to embrace as one of my fondest memories now, but still vaguely enjoyable to recall. When I explored their music later, due to their critical and cultural adoration, I recognized that song and witnessed a grand music video accompanying it on YouTube. I'm a lame young person with no credibility, so I saw it on a sick day from high school in 2011. I wasn't aware at the time this film clip was cut from a wider feature, Alan Parker's The Wall. One listens to the album now, less impressionable, less impressive than Pink Floyd releases surrounding it, annoyed with its overt formula and holding your hand symbolism, impressing no one but high school students or adults who didn't spend any time at a university. Now, that's not true. Plenty of smart adults didn't feel the need to go to university, and don't revere the wall as an active, intelligent metaphor, of course. As a film, the ideas explode onto the screen as articulate and naturally shown, arguably without the lyrical accompaniment. This would be an even more aesthetically cogent, or at least less banal and obvious experience. The one thing that struck me, though, and no disrespect to Waters is intended, just curiosity as a hack critic, though I'll only at most compose the second worst review light of this film, that much is assured. It must have been awful to have lost one's father before ever truly knowing or even meeting them. But, well, firstly, I know Waters was not an only child, but whatever, convenience for the production perhaps. Secondly, more importantly and primarily, is the issue of whether Waters' experiences of a truly psychologically broken man. How broken can you let yourself be if you can fund this film or tour? My Poor Life feels phony for a rock star. Maybe Waters was aiming for something more universal for his generation, and the rock star, which he was, represented an ideal that was useful for his metaphors, although I suspect he only diverted his project this way after realizing how navel-gazing it initially was. The notion of British stiff upper lip patriotism and honour among men, that which won them the war, the new religion for the next generation, was only the other side of the coin, or the same with geographic distance as the villainous Nazism. The National Front decided that to save England it had to embrace its fundamental similarities with Nazism. The Dambusters metaphor for emotional expression had fundamental, callous, racially cruel and supremacist undertones. The name of that dog is dubbed Digger on TV broadcasts now, I believe, in the UK. Probably ought to be. In the particular, one could find the universal. The Wall was Waters' way of saying that everyone, rock star, concert fan, English, Nazi, white, black, was a victim of an emotional barrier which we built to defend ourselves when we ought to be embracing peace. It emerges out of some attempt to untie his own Langian knots, and in being so autobiographical, its frank insistence on autobiography at that feels unnecessary to such a cause/point. But then perhaps Waters doesn't want to claim to know anything except his own subjective experience and the potential universalities which can be reflected, distilled via his own life storyline. And maybe that is fair. I'm struck now realizing I really might like this movie a lot more than the Source album. I like the Source album, as I said, I find it weak from the other Floyd albums around it, Gilmore era included, though I do like it. The designs, the flourishes of psychologically incisive, hostilely beautiful art from Gerald Scarfe makes this project. This is the key ingredient, the critical factor. Deserving to be on a list of great films more than the 1979 album deserves to be on a list of great LPs. And the unmentionable, only to be alluded to, is just that, obviously.